Let's do Jujutsu.
I want to know what your thoughts are. I want to know.
So listen, I'm not gonna lie. They had me in the first half, just like that, just like that meme, just like that meme. Not gonna lie, they had me in the first half. I actually was going to. I was really excited. And I'm assuming that y'all have watched this because whatever. So like, when first of all, Mappa once again showing the fuck off, just like excessively. I loved it. I love the fight scene. Of course, I love the fight scene. I love the Shigami. I like how during the fight we're getting like explanations of the powers as the power is getting ripped to shreds. And I'm just
poor Orochi.
Like Orochi is gone, and then Wolf Dog, the white one, is gone too. I was like, oh, so that nigga's dead. Like,
yeah, white one's gone. Black one is still around, but I guess he had to cancel it.
Yeah,
like, when he got out.
Yeah. So if he cancels it before they die, then he can keep them. So I'm just like, oh shit. So like, you have weaknesses. We got a hard declaration of like, yes, I save people unequally. Period. Like, that is my rule. But man, when homeboy switched back into that fucking body and started talking like nothing was wrong, I got so annoyed. Because I was like, are you fucking kidding me? You're missing a heart. And then after that, they showed him on like on the table, whatever. And then like a mortician comes in or whatever and shit like that. And she's like, yeah, so I can use this body, right? I can cut him up and blah, blah, blah. And that's when it set in for me where I was like, oh my God. Did they just seriously kill off the main, or who we thought was the main character? Like, is Gojo actually our main character? Like, and so then, of course, the episode goes, we get introduced to the second years. I love the panda. I fucking love the panda already. I fucking love him. I like how Nobara basically Megumi was introducing them, and she was like, so you're not going to say anything about the panda that's a panda? Like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? Like, what is
that? They kind of just play that shit off.
Yeah, he just blew it off. And then Megumi talking about, oh, there's another one and he's the only one that I can actively respect in public. And I'm just like, God damn. Like, so y'all, but then also the introduction of the training, well, not a training arc, but we're already getting like a competition or like a tournament. And I'm like, damn, like this shit just keeps it moving. But then I'm also worried.
We're on episode 6.
Yes, but I'm also worried about the training arc. Not the training, I keep saying training. About the competition, because I'm like, well, if it's a competition for jujutsu shit, curses are probably going to be involved. And I don't know. Something's going to go wrong, especially with the introduction of that other human who's like making a deal with the curses and shit like that. I was like, alrighty, buddy. Don't even know who the fuck you are, but clearly he is going to be a problem in the near future. But I don't know, like, I kind of was excited if they had kept Yuji dead, because from what I noticed in the opening, because usually the openings foreshadow like the majority of the arcs, and we've seen almost everything that Yuji does in the opening already. And so I was like, oh shit, so did they fake our asses out with this? And I was also surprised that I was like, oh my God, the community or like the fandom for this show must be really good, because they didn't spoil that, like, this nigga dies and doesn't come back. I was like, wow, like these niggas are really tight-lipped on this shit. Like, woo. And then of course by the end of the episode, they go inside and Sukuna's like, bitch, what the fuck you want? And I'm just like, okay, I wasn't disappointed, but I kind of was like, okay, cool, because Sukuna likes that body, and I know he liked that body. So I'm like, nigga, you need him. So for some reason, some form of fashion, he needs him. So I enjoyed it.
I of course love this episode. Very well animated. The music was on point.
Ooh, yes.
On so many scenes. I think the one that stood out to me was when Fushiguro summoned Nue and Orochi, and then you get that panning shot of when the snake grabs Sukuna and they're up in the air, and then as Nue is charging up, the music changed, and it's like whipping him around, and I was like, this is fucking great.
Mm-hmm.
This is awesome. Also, like watching Fushiguro get punched through walls. Like, I think at this point,
I didn't know how he was standing.
Well, anyone who's like was paying attention in the first like 4 episodes, like there are times when you could pass off the kind of power and damage being done as like a function of, I don't know, they were in the domain. So like what does getting punched through a wall really mean? Or in the very first episode when Fushiguro takes that hit and then gets blown out of the wall of the school.
Mm-hmm.
It's not totally clear if it's possible for, if this is just sort of taking some license with the scene. But no, actually, like in some of these fights, these jujutsu sorcerers are really like getting some DBZ moments. Like, and you can protect yourself to some degree, like from like physical damage, but like the actual like point of impact from something with like with using a curse technique is much more difficult to defend against. In fact, in a lot of cases, you get hit with a curse technique for real once, you're just done, because most of them are like OP as fuck. So literally this was Sukuna just fucking around, because if he had used he didn't use a single curse technique at all.
He didn't. He was just, that's what I noticed too. I was like, that nigga, because the way that he mollywopped the special grade demon, I was like, nah. He's literally just like playing with his body. Like he's tossing him around like a rag doll.
Right. There's also another point that is underrated here, and I want to bring it up for those who are anime only, and not to spoil anything, but you should pay a lot of attention to what Sukuna actually says in this episode, especially with reference to what he observes in Fushiguro's power. Because Fushiguro uses Shadow Shinigami, and Sukuna points out that like this is different than what he was expecting. And also like if you've watched like any tropey, anime thing, like the idea of a Shinigami, usually you have like a talisman or something, and then you're attaching, a physical form over the talisman, and they do whatever. That's not Fushiguro's power. And also he made clear to note that like Fushiguro doesn't fight at range. He fights in tandem with his Shinigami. So Shishigami. So that's all I'm saying. There's a reason also why Sukuna did not instantly kill Fushiguro, and there's a reason. And then lastly, when Itadori is able to come back sort of at the end, that was not something Sukuna intended to happen. He was betting that. Yeah, he was betting that Itadori was like done, like he couldn't come back, and then B, if he could, he wouldn't want to die. So everything that happens at the end of that episode, I noticed a lot of the reaction was like, wait, what? How the fuck did Itadori come back? Well, the point is that Sukuna was like, well, even if he wanted to, he's too much of a pussy.
Yeah, exactly.
And the answer to that question is no, the fuck he isn't. And the heart to heart that Fushiguro was having, he was basically explaining his philosophy as an answer to the conversation that they never got to finish when they were in the cursed womb domain, right? Because Itadori misunderstood or maybe just didn't understand at all what was Fushiguro's actual reasoning behind not instantly killing him. And we know that Itadori's issue is that he thinks people deserve a good death, whatever that means for that person. He thinks that like his reason for being a jujutsu sorcerer or even getting involved is that if he were to allow either Sukuna's other fingers to stay out in the world when he could have done something about it, or to just take the easy way out and let himself like die, he would be denying the people that he might be able to rescue the chance to determine their own good death. So we got like 3 or 4 episodes explaining that was his point of view. But Fushiguro in this episode laid out kind of a different formula, whereas like his point of view is however you die, it is what it is. However, like, your life plays out, it is what it is. But you should have a fair opportunity to see what life will give you. And so the fact that he acts on his emotions sometimes is fine because he isn't trying to make the world a fair place. He's actually trying to tip the scales in favor of people having lives. So that's his argument. And in fact, you can kind of see both how that would clash ideologically with Itadori, and also how it might not. That those two concepts can live in more or less harmony with each other. So that's what I like. That's my whole thing about anime in general and shonen, which is the fights and the conflicts are just window dressing to clashes of ideology. That's it.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And when you create villains and heroes who don't have specific ideologies beyond like, I'm doing good because good is good, and I'm doing bad because selfishness and bad things are bad, you could have all the flashy animation in the world. That show, that story is going to suck. But Jujutsu Kaisen is great, and it's why I think it will be a pillar in whatever the next 5 to 10 years of the shonen scene will be, is because all the characters, every one of them, from the minor ones to some of these like sentient curses that we're getting introduced to, they all have very specific ideologies, and some of them are well developed and easy to understand, others are inscrutable, but every one of them is derived from like real world experiences and events, and none of the characters are the same at all.
Yeah.
Even those who are nominally all air quotes good, the more these characters get explored, the more we will come to understand as an audience that they all have their own take on life and death, and the fact that they wind up on one side or another isn't like some intrinsic value. It's driven by what they've seen and experienced throughout their lives, and the show gives a lot, or the show will, I'm assuming. The manga gives a lot of time and energy towards establishing that, even for relatively like throwaway, what you would consider like throwaway characters and stories. So really, really good, in my opinion. Great episode. Love the Smash Brothers reference from Nobara.
Yes.
Love the moment where she's like, I'm not the kind of girl who just cry over someone they met 2 weeks ago, and then immediately cut to her like holding back tears. New squad is cool. I think Panda obviously stands out visually, but like everyone there is on some other shit. And there's more, and there's more characters.
To say food.
Yeah, and there's a reason for that. There's an actual reason for that.
Because what I thought immediately was I was like, oh, if he says actual words, would like shit actually come? So I don't know.
You're on the right track.
Yeah,
You're on the right track.
Yeah.
But they say it in the episode. They say that his is cursed voice.
Yeah.
And I think in the next episode they pretty much explain, what the basics of how some of this works.
Well, I saw in the opening, like, he unzips that shit, and there's, like, some tattoo or some shit on his mouth. So I was like, I already know his shit was voiced anyway.
Yeah, his might be one of the strongest curse powers that they've kind of got around. Not the strongest, but one of them. The character who was in the diner is named in the preview materials. That's Suguru Geto. And yeah, he is definitely a big bad. But the other curses that are there, we have not met, and we have... for anime only, is like, there's not much is known, but we're getting to the shits real quick. I think next episode it looks like we have another Gojo fight.
Oh yeah, that's what it looks like to me too. It looks like Yuji's probably gonna try to do something and probably get washed inside whatever the fuck that is. He might make let me not ask that. That'll be a spoiler. We'll find out next week.
It's good. So and the great thing about Jujutsu Kaisen is that it gets to the shits. So like, we're episode 6. You have
we got so many shits so far.
Right. You have you already have like prep for a tournament arc before you're done with your first season. The world has expanded. It's gone from like the dreary countryside and warehouses to the colorful city with like new curses walking around talking. Like there's a lot. There's a lot there, and it looks good. This season looks awesome.
Agreed.
24 episodes. We're a quarter of the way through.
Yeah, man, 24. Like, this might be one of the best first seasons, like, ever. Like, it's so good so far. Let me not jinx that shit. Okay.
It's good. Don't worry about that. Unless, like, every one of the production staff dies in like a horrible COVID outbreak, and also they burn all of the episodes that have been finished, there's no way that there's just no way. it'll be bad. So yeah, that's what I got.
All
Favorite
right.
show of the season.